Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Truth in All podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Chastain, and today we have quite a bit to get into. We're gonna get into finally. It's time to do the top 10 games of the week. It's gonna be a new segment. We're finalizing the segment details and stuff for every week, but this is gonna be somehow around the way we do it today. And we also have to preview the ACC conference today. We're going to do that kind of quickly like we did last time. It's going to be more of a, we're going to predict the records of each team in the ACC, and then we will get into our top 10 games of the week. 5 of the games, important games, most important games, 5 other games that I think you'll be interested to watch, that you should watch. All throughout the day. Some are probably between 1 and 10 o'clock. Fun day. I'll be watching this, sure, no doubt about it. So let's start with the ACC preview. Here's how we would normally do it. We would normally get into news, but really no news to get into. The news from last week about Urban Meyer, we did that, so that's really all we had. So we're going to get straight into the ACC conference predictions. Like I said, we'll go by record of each team, who's going to win it, the best defense, and then we'll go from there. And we're going to start right now, and we'll start with the best defense, and that's going to obviously, to me, be Clemson. They have clearly the best defense. To me, the best defense, and here's going to be the one who wins it, and it's Clemson, like I said. So let's kind of get into the records. I kind of want to get through this kind of fast, just because I'm not really into the record predictions that much, so it's kind of why I went through fast the other day with the SEC and stuff. So we're going to do the same thing here. Obviously, who's going to finish number 1? The Clemson Tigers. I think they'll go 12-0, maybe 11-1. I could see them losing to maybe Texas A&M in a shocker or something like that, but I don't see them losing another game. One game will be it. I just can't imagine more than one game. That, to me, that would be shocking. It would be shocking to see them lose more than one game. Next thing, we got to get into the Florida State Seminoles. I can see them losing. I think they're going to lose 4 games. They'll lose more. They'll lose against Notre Dame and Clemson. Probably Miami. And then probably get upset by Florida. I could see them getting upset by Florida. So I'd say 8-4 would be where I would put Florida State at. Let's get into Louisville, and these are in no order, by the way. Louisville, I think it's an interesting team, but with Lamar Jackson being gone, I see them losing week 1 against Alabama. Probably losing again week 5, and then losing to Clemson. So I can see them having a 9-3 record, finishing better than Florida State. Let's get into our next team, NC State. NC State, to me, is one of those 6-6 teams. Won't get too much into them, so which means, in essence, they lose to West Virginia, Clemson, probably Syracuse. I could see them losing to Syracuse. Maybe not. Maybe they don't lose to Syracuse. Yeah, I'll take the Syracuse one away. I think that's a little ridiculous. And actually, the more I think about it, their schedule don't look too bad. Maybe they're a 8 or 9 win team, so I see them losing Clemson for sure. Maybe get upset by Louisville. 9 win team. That's where I'm at with them. Speaking of Syracuse Orange, let's get into them. Let's see. I'm going to start with, we'll see them losing to Florida State probably. See them losing to Clemson. See them losing to Notre Dame. I can see them losing, like I said, to North Carolina State. This looks like a 4 or 5 loss team, maybe 6. I'm thinking we'll stay safe and go 6-6. That's where I'll stick to. All right, next team up, in the Atlantic, the Boston College Eagles. I see them losing 4 games. I can see them losing 8 games. I can see them losing 4 or 8 games. They'll win their first 3. I would say for sure first 3. Probably first 4 actually. I think they'll lose to North Carolina State. I think they're going to have probably about a 5-game stretch where they lose. Louisville, Miami, Virginia Tech, probably Virginia Tech, Clemson, even FSU. So yeah, that's gonna hurt them in the end. So don't get too hyped if when Boston College goes 4-0 or 3-1. Don't get too hyped because their schedule is super tough. That might be the toughest second half stretch of the schedule I've seen yet, considering. And let's get into our last team, the Boston College Demon Deacons. They won their first game as they should have. Actually, didn't win it by as much as they should have. They probably should have won it by 20. They didn't. Their next game's a guaranteed win against some Jacksonville team. They'll probably, the Boston College game they'll probably lose. It looks like a 6-6 schedule to me because they'll lose to Notre Dame, Clemson, Louisville. May upset Syracuse or somebody down the stretch, but I see it as a 5-7, 6-6 schedule for that team. Now let's get into the less exciting to me, and we'll start off with who's going to finish number 1, which will probably be the Miami Hurricanes in the Coastal. I just can't imagine their schedule's easy. They should start off 4-1, maybe 5-0 even, if they can beat LSU at home, which they should be able to. So I would say a 5-0 start. 5-0 start. We'll leave FSU out. They go 6-0 against Virginia, 7-0 against Boston College. I see 11 wins here. I see no excuse for no less than 11 wins. Because the only competition, the real competition you have is Virginia Tech, FSU, Florida, Florida State. I mean, maybe Georgia Tech might come up a little bit of a challenge with it being at Georgia Tech, but they're going to win 2 of those games, I would think. So 11-1, no doubt in my mind that they win that conference or win that division. Let's get into our next team. We're going to go with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Speaking of, they're probably, let's see. Let me fix this mic real quick. I don't see them winning as many games. Sure, schedule's a little tougher. Think about it, Miami doesn't even play Clemson. They don't even play Clemson, so they don't really hardly play anybody. But I see Georgia Tech losing to Clemson. Louisville probably. Because of that Louisville, yeah, we'll say Louisville's a loss. Virginia Tech's a loss. Georgia's a loss. It's probably a 5-6 win team. Maybe if they pulled off an upset against somebody. Although I see it hard for them to go more than 7-5. At best, 7-5. Let's move on to Pittsburgh. A team that should do a little better. But they do have a tougher schedule. Let's give it that. Win week 1, obviously. Play Penn State. Tough game. That's going to be a loss, though. At home. Georgia Tech. Probably a loss. North Carolina's a win. I think North Carolina could go 0-12. I think their ceiling's probably 4 wins, which we'll talk about in a minute. UCF, tough one, but I'm going to give them the win. I'm going to give them a win there. Syracuse, win. Notre Dame, loss. And then they win every other game except for the Miami game at the end. I'll even say they beat Virginia Tech. Let's get into Virginia Tech. Speaking of, tough game first on Monday night. They'll beat FSU though, Florida State, and they'll start 6-0, 5-0. They'll lose to Notre Dame though. That'll be their first loss. But they do come back. I think they come back and beat North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Boston College, probably Pittsburgh, and they go 9-1 and lose to Miami again, and they'll finish 10-2, and they'll finish second in the Coastal. We'll see. We got Virginia left. Let's see. This one's harder because I see a lot of easy games. First 3 games I see as wins. Indiana is going to be a tough one, but I think they squeeze that one out. Ohio, obviously a win. Should be a win. I don't know. At Indiana, they'll probably lose. Start 2-1, lose. They'll probably beat Louisville in an upset. 3-1. Lose to North Carolina State. Lose to Miami. 3-3. Beat Duke. 3-4. Lose to beat North Carolina State. That's 5-4. I see about 7 wins out here actually. I think they'll go to a bowl game. And then we get to our final 2 teams. Duke and North Carolina. Duke, for me, I'm gonna say they're a 7-5 team. I think they'll be a 7-5 team again. We'll go 6-6. Let's go 6-6 because that's missed the Northwestern. They'll lose to Northwestern, I think. So yeah, I would say 6-6. By the way, guys, I'm doing this kind of live. I'm kind of predicting it live. I'm going by the schedule, so y'all are kind of hearing my thoughts on some of the games, some of the teams. So I think that's a good thing in a way. So yeah, 6-6 because I see them tough game against Baylor, but I don't think Baylor's going to be that good. So right now I have their losses: Northwestern, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Miami, Clemson. So yeah, 7-5. They'll probably upset one of those teams. Last team in the ACC, and then we can get to our championship and the more exciting stuff. Also, I'm going to predict my Final 4 in a few minutes, and then we'll get into the games of the week. For this week, North Carolina, like I said, I don't see them winning that many games. They'll probably lose to Cal tomorrow. Yeah, I think they'll lose to Cal tomorrow. Actually, the more I think about it, it's at California. Beat Eastern Carolina. They'll lose to UCF. UCF's not going to be what they were last year, but they're not going to lose to North Carolina. Pittsburgh's probably a loss. Miami loss. Virginia Tech loss. I think Syracuse beats them. I think Virginia beats them. I think Georgia Tech beats them. I think Duke beats them. Maybe they get upset by Duke. Maybe they upset Duke. They win 4 games at most. Actually, 3 games. I'd say 3 games. Yeah, I'll go 4 games. They'll upset somebody, I think. Whether it be that first game or the middle of the road. So 6-6. With that being said, let's move on to the ACC championship between Clemson and Miami. I think that's a pretty much sure thing. It's a lock. I think Clemson wins it again. And I think they represent the ACC in the college football playoff. I think Clemson is one of the only sure teams that's going to be in the college football playoff. I just don't think any of the other 3 teams, or any of the other 3 teams that could compete for it, will have enough wins to get in. And I think Clemson only loses 1 game. Like I said, that game may be against Texas A&M. I'm not sure. That's hard to predict. I think it's going to be against one of the 3 teams. I think it'll be against either Texas A&M, maybe Georgia Tech, FSU, or South Carolina. That's one of the 4 teams that will upset them. I think that's a book it, actually. I would book that one of those will be one of the 4 teams. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the conference championship between Clemson and Miami. Like I said again, I think Clemson wins it, represents the ACC. And the 4 teams for me, I'm going to go kind of safe. I'm going to go 1 Alabama, 2 Clemson, 3 I'm going to go, as much as I don't like doing this, I'm going to go 3 Ohio State, and I don't know. Actually, no, I'm going to go surprise. I'm going to go 3 Penn State, and then 4. Microphone keeps on falling. The 4th, I was going to say, is going to be. I'm going to go 4 Georgia. I'm going to go 4 Georgia. Shit. Why this thing keeps on falling so much? Sorry, guys. Microphone keeps on falling. But yeah, I'm gonna go 4 Georgia. So 1 Alabama, 2 Clemson, 3 Penn State, and 4 Georgia. I think Penn State's got a good chance losing, even though they did lose Saquon Barkley. I still think they got a good enough defense. They'll come back and win the Big Ten and win it. Go into the college football playoff. If it's not Penn State, it'll be Ohio State. So there you go. And then now we'll get into my predictions as far as who wins those games. I think Alabama beats. It's Alabama and Georgia. So that'll probably be the second time they play. I'm going to say Georgia beats Alabama. I think Georgia goes to the championship, plays Clemson, and I think Clemson wins that game. Although I think it's going to be a close one between Alabama and Georgia. I'm going to say, though, if Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship, I would flip it and say Alabama beats them in the college football playoff. That's how I'd say it's going to go. Yeah, so let's kind of move on. Got our top 5 most important games, and then we got our top 5 most interesting games. This one wasn't that hard as far as importance. Actually, this is going to be important for about 12 teams. Number 6, Washington, at number 9, Auburn. I have at number 1. And really, it's because Washington needs to win that game for the sake of the Pac-12. Staying in hopes of, because I think if they lose that game, I don't think the Pac-12 makes it. Unless they have an undefeated team. I really don't. I think this is going to help or hurt or end the Pac-12's hopes. I think if Washington does beat Auburn, I think you got a shot. You have a chance. I think you have a legit chance. But if they don't, I think it's over. like I said the other week, and what Eric was telling you on the Pac-12 podcast of the week, Washington needs to win this game for the sake of the Pac-12. Yeah, that's why they're at number one. That game's at number one, and it's important for Auburn too because of their schedule. They have some tough games, but out of conferences, this is a major one. At 2, I have Michigan. At number 12, Notre Dame. Important for both teams. Michigan put their foot down. They finally have their quarterback. It's time to do something for Michigan. That's why it's more Michigan, and then Notre Dame needs to finally prove themselves. They're there every year in the conversation at the beginning of the year. They need to do something and continue the conversation, because if they lose this game, it won't be a good sign for Notre Dame fans or the Notre Dame team, because they might already be out of the college football playoff contention if they lose this game, depending on what Michigan goes on to do. Now, if Michigan goes on to keep on winning, then you got another thing coming. So yeah, that's why it's more important for Notre Dame, because I think Michigan could lose this game and still make it to the college football playoff. I don't think Notre Dame could. I think they have a decent chance, because if I look at their schedule, let me pull up their schedule real quick. It's gonna take me a split second. I can't remember if they play. Yeah, this ain't looking good. Let's see. Let's see who their ranked teams are. Michigan, Stanford, Virginia Tech, FSU, Northwestern would probably be a good win, and USC. So yeah, I think they need to win that game, because I see them losing another one of those games. If they can beat Michigan, they can beat Stanford. I think that's going to be highly possible, because I know Stanford's got Bryce Love, which we'll talk about in a minute, our last game. But I still think they'd have a good chance, just because I don't think Stanford's as good as advertised. I don't think they're as close to last year's team, but I don't think they're far from it. So that's why I think they should win that game. I think Virginia Tech's a toss-up. I'd go ahead and give them the L there. And then they split FSU and USC. That's 2 losses right there. So if you have any shot, I think you must win against Michigan, or you have to pretty much win out. You pretty much have to win out, and that's going to be tough. That's why I would say that's the second most important game. Third most important game of the weekend, number 8 Miami at number 25 LSU. I don't really know who this is more important for. I think it's split even. If I have to pick one, I'm gonna go Miami, and here's why. Their schedule. Their schedule is super easy. If they have any shot of, if they want to not have to deal with the last year's no schedule thing, they got to win this game, because they only play 3 ranked teams, unless one comes ranked or 2. Or, as of right now, I think LSU's going to be their easier game, because FSU's going to be tough. FSU's going to be hard, because it always is. It's in Florida against their rival. That's going to be hard, and they don't win that often against their rival, Florida State. With that being said, I think it's close to as important for LSU. But back to Miami, I just think this is gonna be one of their ways to just prove it early. If you want to have any chance, I hate to put it this way, but if you want to have any chance of making the college football playoff, that game you really need to win. You really do, because if you lose it, it's just not a good start. It's not a good start. That's a very ugly start to a schedule that's so tough. I would say the schedule being tough is really what the problem is. It's not the fact that they can't win these games and go 11-1. It's just the fact that the schedule is so easy. I mean, when I say tough, I mean tough as in it's hard to see what win would define a good win for them. Besides Florida State and maybe Virginia Tech, and who's to say Virginia Tech won't fall off, or Florida State. So they don't play anybody that's like a Clemson, so they may not have a chance to prove themselves. Now on the LSU side, that's not so much the case. Just because they play 4 top 10 teams, they have plenty of chances to prove themselves. And we're going by rankings at the beginning of the season, which are important because I think these rankings are close to right. Because you play Miami, Auburn, Georgia, Alabama. So they have plenty of chances to prove themselves. If they lost that game, it wouldn't be the end all be all. They would still have a good chance to make it if they won out. Or even if they could probably lose 2 games. They're the exception to the 1 game loss rule. Yeah. So let's move on to our next game. Virginia Tech and FSU. Now that one, that's very important for one team, not necessarily both. Florida State could still survive a loss just because of who they play. They play Miami, they play Clemson, they play Notre Dame. They play a tough North Carolina State team. Louisville, shaky on how tough that game is. So yeah, they could have. And they play what will probably be an at least average Florida team, if not an 8 or 9 win Florida team. So I could see they would survive it, but not Virginia Tech. Different story for Virginia Tech, just because their schedule is as easy as Miami's, or close to it. They play FSU. Now I'm just going over there who they play ranked. Miami, Notre Dame, FSU. That's it. And I don't see any of these other teams come ranked. Maybe Virginia or somebody. No, I don't think so. I don't think Virginia comes ranked. I don't think Virginia's that good. So yeah, must win for Virginia Tech, because if they don't, I think they're done. Being that they play Miami, and I think they would lose to Miami, like I said earlier. Really don't need to go over that just because of our predictions earlier, but that is our fourth most important game. And at the 5, it's important for one team, and it's the Louisville Cardinal against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Obviously more important for Louisville, because Alabama could lose that game, and at the end they're not going to be lower than 10th ranked team, that is. Just because really they could face a Texas A&M team that could become ranked if they win week 2 easily. They'll easily be ranked. Yeah, LSU, you got Mississippi State, you got Auburn, you got probably Georgia in the SEC championship game. So no doubt in my mind that this isn't. It's got a little meaning, but not that much. And for the Louisville Cardinal, this would be a defining moment for the Louisville the Louisville team as a whole. This will be the defining moment, probably the biggest win in their history, to be honest. In football, the number 1 team, you've got them in your house. I mean, you should have a good chance. Excuse that, sorry. You should have a good chance to win that game. It's in your territory, your house. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't win the game. I really don't. As far as not talent-wise, not like going team against team, but I think their deficit's going to be the quarterback position. They lost Lamar Jackson, and that's going to be huge. I think if they had Lamar Jackson, I would pick them to beat Alabama. I probably would. But losing Lamar Jackson, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. So that's why I have Louisville and Alabama at number 5, just because it's important for Louisville, but I don't think it's I don't know how I should say it. I don't think it's going to be like I don't think they'll win the game, so I don't think it's going to be a defining moment. So that's why I have them at 5. Alabama 3 touchdown favorite, but we know how that is. That's meaningless. Let's get into the other 5 games that some are important, some aren't. And we'll just finish it. We'll keep on going. At number 6, we have 23 Texas at Maryland. Important for Texas to keep on rolling, get the win, get the W against Maryland. That's not that good of a team. Should win it. Texas should win it. And some of these games, by the way, they may seem like, really, why are these games on here? Well, I mean, it's week 1. The games, we have about 10 games that are going to be good games. I think maybe 10 to 15, something like that. Maybe less than that. I don't know. I would say the top 5 games are definitely going to be good. The bottom 5 games, we'll see. Ole Miss at Texas Tech. Texas Tech, that high-flying offense. Don't know if it's going to be as high-flying against Ole Miss. Ole Miss needs to win. And it'll be interesting to see how they play, to see if they dominate. We'll see if they have a shot against Alabama. Even though that game's not until like 3 or 4, but still going to be early signs of Ole Miss to see what Alabama's competition is going to be like this year. Next game, West Virginia against Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee's got one hell of a schedule, like tough-wise. They go against the number 1 team, the number 2 team, and the number 3 team, I believe. So, let me confirm it. I don't want to give y'all false information. Yes, they do. Back-to-back weeks. They play Georgia, they play Auburn, they play Alabama. That's tough. That's the hardest 3-game stretch in probably FBS. It's definitely top 5. Don't see them winning any of those games. Maybe they beat. I think if they have any chance, I think they beat Auburn. I'm not saying they don't have a shot against Georgia, but I don't think, with being at Georgia at Stanford Stadium, I don't think they beat them. So that's why it's important for Tennessee to win this game if they want to have any shot at anything as far as college football playoff or whatever. Now, I know they don't have a chance. I know they're not winning it. I'm just saying if they want to have a chance, that's why it's on this list. This Middle Tennessee at Vanderbilt, always a good game to watch. Always a good, that's one of the classics the past few years. That's why it's on here. And San Diego State at 14 Stanford tonight. Excited to watch that game, kind of. Semi-excited to watch that game. Just because San Diego State always gives Stanford fits. And I think they could give them another fit this year. I know they don't have Rashad Penny. It's not going to be as good, but I still think they have I still think they could give them fits. Stanford's only a 2-touchdown favorite. I just think this could be a sign for upset tonight. We could see an upset tonight of a top 25 team, which would be exciting going into tomorrow. And we have 4 top 25 teams, or 2 top 25 teams playing each other, and then Sunday and Monday we have 2 top 25 teams playing each other. So 1 on Sunday, 1 on Monday, and then you got Louisville, Alabama. So much excitement. I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Football's finally back, baby. I'm excited. I'm just excited to see it all. And it starts tonight in about 2 hours. Actually, it may start even sooner than that. Let me see. Let me confirm. Yeah, y'all, what time they start tonight. Actually, start in 30 minutes. We got Syracuse and Western Michigan, but I won't be watching that game. Although it could be an interesting game to watch, I won't be watching it. I'm more excited to see, like I said, San Diego State, Stanford. Let's see what the other game was that was on. There's another game that was going to be pretty good on tonight, I thought. Duke and Army could potentially be good. Yeah. I think the two most interesting games are going to be San Diego State, Stanford, and maybe Colorado State and Colorado. But yeah, anyway, let me head out of here. Thank you all for joining me. I will see you again very soon. Check out Twitter. Check out myself at ChrisTO1. Check out the podcast at Truth and All Pod on Twitter. I will talk to you again soon. I don't know the schedule yet, so stay tuned. Watch out for Twitter. I tweet out a lot, so you'll see the schedule out then on our next podcast. But I would say around Sunday or Monday, we'll have a podcast out recapping the week and stuff. So peace out. See you later.